Welcome back to another episode of Business Highlight, a show by the Boca Raton Tribune. In Business Highlight, we talk to local business owners about their business and how they help the community at large. As you know, my name is Pedro, and before we get started, make sure to follow us on social media. Just head over to our YouTube channel. It's bocatribune.tv or any of the other social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They're all just Boca Tribune. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Taylor Morgan, the co-founder of QuenchTime. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for wanting to come on. The paper wrote a story about what you're doing, and I thought it was fantastic. And I was like, I gotta have her on the show. So that's the intro that I got you.
Dale King did an amazing job with that interview. And I feel like I made a friend when I sat down with him and Julia at Sequela Cafe in Boca a couple weeks ago. Yeah. We had so much, it was like 6 degrees of everything separation. And he did a fabulous job with that story.
Yeah,
so thank you.
It was great. Yeah, for sure. So for those that didn't read the story, why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. Well, my name is Taylor Morgan. I've been in Palm Beach County for 40 years now. And Pedro, I think I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit and ideas. And I know that comes from my father. And but it wasn't always that way. I started out in Palm Beach County working in restaurants. And I worked at Taboo on Worth Avenue back in the 80s. I worked at the very first 2J's in Palm Beach when they first opened. I was a cheese wrapper, learned how to wrap cheese. And in 1985, my mother and I opened Sprinkles Ice Cream Shop in Palm Beach. Mm-hmm. And we had that for a couple of years. And I tell you this, there's a reason. We had that for a couple of years, and I realized I was 25 years old and I was not old enough to run a business. I wanted to go out and party. So I sold my interest in the business to my sister, and she ran it for another 15 years. And I followed in my father's footsteps in broadcasting. Oh, wow. Some of your viewers who are maybe from the Boston area might recognize my father's name. He was very big talk show host in Boston for 50 years. His name was Jerry Williams. Wow. And so I went into broadcasting, did that for 15 years up in New England. And I came back to Florida in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I was doing the DJ thing there. And then radio got weird. It was no longer fun. It was just play the music and shut up, Taylor. So I decided I didn't want to be a disc jockey anymore. So I took my love of broadcasting and my love of the restaurant industry and put together a talk show called Taylor Morgan's Dining and Entertainment Show.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it was like I just had the idea for it. And it was going to be on an AM station. This is back in 2001. And I needed to raise money for sponsorships to be able to pay for the airtime because it was like a brokered show.
Right.
And so what I had to do was go out and sell advertising to restaurants because I would have chefs on and restaurant owners. And I realized very quickly that I hate sales. I did not like asking restaurant owners for money or anybody else for that matter. And so I did have relationships though, and that really helped. So I got a couple of restaurant owners to pay for this show that was going to be airing starting in October. And I was on my way. And I tell you all this because life can change on a dime. Mm-hmm. I was on my way to a restaurant in Palm Beach one beautiful September morning, and I was going to be meeting with the manager at Michael R. McCarty's restaurant. And I'm driving to the restaurant, and I'm listening to the radio, and all of a sudden this news story comes on that a plane crashed into a building in New York.
Yeah. I'm
like, oh my God. Didn't know. I get to the restaurant, I sit down with the manager. And within a couple of minutes, like all of the servers and bartenders who are setting up for the morning are piled around the TV. And so we go over to see what's happening and we watch as the second plane crashes into the World Trade Center.
Mm.
So I excused myself and I went home and cried with the rest of the world for days. And I'm, in the back of my mind thinking, okay, what am I going to do? Because I have this show that's coming on in a month and I don't have enough money to pay for the airtime. And at that point, you probably remember that all air traffic had been stopped.
Yeah.
We didn't know if anybody was going to be able to fly down here and support restaurants or, if there was going to be a season or anything like that. So I'm like, stunned along with the rest of the world, but I also have to figure out what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go to restaurants and ask them for money after this.
Right.
So this is why everything happens for a reason.
That's true.
I'm on the computer. This is the end of September now, almost the beginning of October. My show is starting and I don't have enough money to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upstairs in my house. I'm on the computer. My boyfriend's downstairs watching TV and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing. I'm on eBay. What do you want?" And eBay was very young back then. This is 2001.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look up Palm Beach voting machine." Do you remember the whole thing about the hanging chads and the 2020 election?
Yes.
Well, my boyfriend at the time collected political memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, because this is the thing that changed my life. Instead of typing in Palm Beach voting machine, I typed in Palm Beach. And up on eBay came Aleda's Tex-Mex restaurant. This was a big, very popular restaurant on Okeechobee Boulevard for years.
Yeah.
Aleda's Tex-Mex restaurant had gift certificates that were being auctioned off on eBay. And they were $25 gift certificates. And there was like 17 people bidding on them. Wow. They were up to $19 and they still had 5 days to go. I'm like, who's selling gift certificates to Aleda's Tex-Mex restaurant on eBay? And then I thought, that's when the light bulb went on. And I thought, oh my God, what if instead of going to restaurants and asking them to advertise for cash on my radio show, what if I just asked them for gift certificates?
Yeah.
And I'll put up a website. I had no idea how to do that. I'll put up a website where I can actually sell the gift certificates for half price. Forget this auctioning off thing. I'll sell them for half price to the people who are listening to the radio show who just heard that restaurant owner on. So the restaurant owner doesn't have to pay me cash. They pay me in gift certificates. I move the gift certificates on this website, thereby getting the restaurant a new customer and getting the customer a deal.
Yeah.
So I basically invented Groupon.
You're talking about it. And I'm like, you're talking about it. Go, that's Groupon.
It is. So it worked, and it was 8 years before, and we had 10 restaurants. We had 30 restaurants. At one point, we had 500 restaurants.
Wow.
So that business was called Local Dines, and we just celebrated our 19th year in business.
That's awesome.
In April. Now that brings me to fast forward to March 2020. Now I've made all kinds of relationships and friendships, very, very good, close friendships with the restaurant owners that are clients on Local Dines. So when the pandemic hit in March 2020, I had to shut down Local Dines because I could not sell gift certificates to restaurants that were closed. And I watched as my friends were having to close their doors, not knowing how they were going to pay their rent, not knowing what they were going to do, how were they going to pay their employees, no idea how long we were going to be closed for. This was March 20th.
Right, yes.
Friday afternoon. I'll never forget it. So I'm panicking for them. I'm panicking for me. And then along with the rest of the world, we cried, just like back in 2001. We didn't know what we were going to do. And on March 23rd, it was a Monday, I was on Facebook and I saw a video. Are you familiar with who Rodney Mayo is?
Yes.
Okay.
I've heard, yeah.
Your viewers may not know the name, but they know his restaurants. He owns a Subculture Restaurant Group, which owns Dada in Del Rey, Kapow in Meisner, Dubliner and Meisner, Howley's in West Palm, Hullabaloo on Clematis, and a ton of other restaurants.
Yeah.
Well, Rodney was addressing the mayor of West Palm Beach and the city commission. And this was like 2 days after he had to shut down his restaurants. And he was in, God, Pedro, if anybody who saw that did not get a lump in their throat to see what anguish this guy was going through. And he said, I had to lay off 650 people because he has that many restaurants and that many employees. I had to lay off 650 people. I have no idea what I'm going to do. He actually broke down and started crying. And he said, for the first time in my life, my employees are asking me, where am I going to, how am I going to feed my kids? And he said, for the first time in my life, I had no answers for them. He said, but I'll tell you, you will never go hungry. So that just did something to me. And I started looking for a restaurant relief fund where people like Rodney and all of these small independent restaurant owners that were my friends and clients for years could go to get money to tide them over for a month, a couple of weeks, whatever. And to my astonishment, with one of the biggest industries in the country, there was no restaurant relief fund at that point.
Right.
I went on the website of the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. There was nothing set up there. I went nationally. There was nothing set up there. There was something in Texas, but that wasn't going to help my friends here in Palm Beach County. So I had been working on a different project for about a year, and we had to put that on the side burner when COVID came. But part of that mission of that project was we were going to give a portion of the revenue to a charity, and we had chosen No Kid Hungry, which is a national effort to feed hungry children.
Right.
I called my partners and I said, you guys, No Kid Hungry will make it with or without us. First of all, we have to put a hold on this project because it's all about restaurants and we couldn't do anything with it at that point. But I said, we have to retool this. We have to rethink this. And our charity has to be a restaurant relief fund because it does not exist. They were on board 1,000%. So during the 2 months when all the restaurants were closed, we were coming up with the idea, which is why I'm here today, for a program called QuenchTime, which is a dining guide and a cocktail club, because everybody could use a drink after 2020 and what's going on now. Right. So it's a dining guide and a cocktail club, and we donate a portion of our monthly revenue to the restaurant relief fund that we set up. Had there already been one, we would have donated to that, but there wasn't one. So we set it up, and what the money is there for. Oh, my earring just fell out. Oh, that's fun. Live TV. What the money is there for is to help independent restaurant owners in times of crisis. Right. Had we started this 5 years ago, we would have been able to help all these restaurants that had to close their doors for in some way, shape, or form. So now this money is earmarked for restaurant employees who get hurt on the job and they don't have medical insurance. So we'll help them, pay their medical bills, or kitchen fires, and maybe they have to redo the kitchen and the insurance didn't pay enough, or, whatever. That money is going to be there for restaurant owners and their employees in times of crisis.
So talking a little bit about the Restaurant Relief Fund and also QuenchTime, when have you guys already been able to assist any restaurants, and if so, how was that reaction to helping them out, and how has it been received in the community?
Well, the restaurant owners first are appreciative that finally somebody is stepping up to the plate to do something like this, because I don't even think it was on their mind. So far there are 85 Palm Beach County restaurants that have partnered with us, and we just started this. I mean, we launched in November 2020. So they're appreciative of the effort to sort of put together a brotherhood of restaurant owners that we're all in this for the same thing, to protect the industry that gives back so much to the local community. We don't realize it.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of money in the relief fund because the money is generated through our revenue. And since we just started, we don't have a big revenue yet. Our revenue comes from members who subscribe to our cocktail club. So they pay a monthly membership fee. So there was a little bit of money in there, and like less than $1,000. And we found out at the beginning of April that a manager over at the Cuesta Brewing Company in Jupiter his name is Scott Davis, and he was in an accident where it was actually a skateboarding accident. He fell, hit his head, and had a traumatic brain injury. Hospital, no medical insurance. So his co-workers set up a GoFundMe for him. And I approached my business partners and I said, I know we don't have a lot of money in the account right now, but is there something can we just donate a little bit at least? Because that's what this is all about. And of course, immediately we put $100 into Scott Davis's GoFundMe account. It's a start. Yeah. I'm looking at the big picture. Someday we'd like to make a huge impact, give tens of thousands of dollars to help out, but it's a start. And then, so that was April 11th. And then April 25th, I see another restaurant owner in need. Now, I don't know Scott Davis, and I don't know this other restaurant owner. His name is Marcello Rosano. He and his wife lost their jobs due to COVID. He's a restaurateur in the business for, I think, 15 years. So during the shutdown, they bought a beautiful camper, and for 6 months, they tricked it out and made it into a food truck, a pizza food truck. And he launched this pizza food truck in December 2020, goes from neighborhood to neighborhood, town to town, and he was doing really, really well. So yay, lemons out of lemonade, out of lemons. I always get that backwards. And a couple of weeks ago in April of 2021, he was doing an event at Wynwood in Miami, driving home in the camper, and a drunk driver was speeding, crashed into his camper.
Oh, wow.
Totaled it. So in one split second, he saw his business that he put all this time and effort and energy and money into was gone.
Right.
So John Brewer, who is the instigator of the Socially Distant Supper Club, who did a fabulous job with that, he set up a GoFundMe account for Marcello Rosano and quickly raised several $1,000s, which was fabulous. So I told my business partners, I'm like, we got to help this guy. So we donated some money to that. Again, it's not a lot. I think it was like $130. But again, it's a start. So we were able to do a little bit of good with a little bit of money that we have in there now.
So if people wanted to help out with the restaurant relief fund, is there a way for them to do that directly?
We haven't even set that up yet. I mean, we have been running on setting up the actual process and the program of what it is. We are going to be doing fundraisers. We will absolutely be taking donations. We can't take them yet because we do not have our 501c3 certification at this point. We have applied for it, but once we get that nonprofit status, then we'll absolutely be doing fundraising efforts throughout the year. For right now, we are just donating a portion of our revenue for QuenchTime, the cocktail club. But if they wanted to go look and see what it was, we do have a website set up called restaurantrelieffund.org. And but the best way for the community to get involved, if you have any restaurant owners that are perhaps viewers of your show, it doesn't cost anything for the restaurant owners to become a part of our program. We give them free exposure and a featured page on our dining guide. And
Yeah.
every restaurant.
So explain to us what QuenchTime is, and how does it work?
That's the fun part. It has a heart, but it also has a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So QuenchTime is a dining guide. It's an online dining guide. It's QuenchTime, not crunch time. Quench, like quench your thirst, QuenchTime.com. And for the consumer, go to, I know you've had, do you like to dine out, Pedro?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you've ever had this conversation, but everybody I know has the conversation. Where do you want to go tonight?
Oh, all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go tonight? And so you end up going to Yelp and Google and all that stuff. Well, this is actually right now we're only in Palm Beach County because we had to, do test market stuff. But go to QuenchTime.com and you will see restaurant upon restaurant upon restaurant, 5-star to sports bar. You'll see pictures, you'll see menus, you'll see a description, a map, links to their social media,
Wow.
a really nice featured page about each restaurant. And you don't have to be a member, a paid member, to use the dining guide. If you want free drinks, then you might want to join as a cocktail club member. So how that works is, for people who enjoy a cocktail, beer, wine, bottle of wine, when they dine out, we have 2 cocktail club memberships. One is a singles person membership. It's $9.95 a month. So it's less than the price of one drink.
Right.
And we have a couples membership, and that's $19.99 a month. And so that's the price of 2 drinks, couples. And every time you flash your membership card when you go to dine at a participating restaurant, every single time the restaurant will buy you a drink.
Wow.
Drinks are expensive.
Yeah.
So a glass of wine could cost you $12. So if you and a guest went in and each had a glass of wine with your dinner, that would be $24 off the bill.
Right.
Every time you dine out. So like I said, for the price of one drink, you can have free drinks at all of the participating restaurants. And what the members are doing is we're putting people back in seats. So we're introducing them to new places that they may not have known about before.
Yeah.
And we're giving the restaurants exposure. So there's a win there and there's a win here. And then on top of it, for every membership every paid membership, we give $1 to the restaurant relief fund. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but we're not doing this to have 100 members.
Right.
When we get to 1,000 members, we'll be giving $1,000 a month. When we get to 10,000 members, we'll be giving $10,000 a month, and so on.
Yeah.
So as we expand into other markets, we'll be able to really make an impact over time.
That's awesome. So guys, if you're interested in this, I think it's a great idea.
Head
over to QuenchTime.com and get all that information there. If you guys want to join the what'd you call it? The drink club? No,
club.
The cocktail club. If you want to join that, all the information is there as well. Taylor, before I let you go, I asked this question of everyone, so you're not going to be any different. If you could give a piece of advice to someone, I guess let's say that's looking to start maybe like a business now, post-pandemic world, what would that advice be?
Trust your crazy ideas. Innovation comes from something that's just a spark idea in your mind. Work it out, put it on paper, figure it out. A lot of times, if it's a crazy new idea, your friends might poo-poo it. That does happen. I hate to say it, but trust yourself. Get yourself a plan from A to Z of how you're going to do this. Who does it benefit? Is there a win-win? If there is, then you've really got something.
Yeah.
And then do some research and go to places like Y Combinator. Y Combinator is a website that helps startups, and it was founded by Alexis Ohanian, who is the founder of Reddit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, oh God, that's a wealth of information. Do your homework and trust your crazy ideas. That's what I would say. And don't listen to the negative people.
Don't listen to the negative people. That's awesome. Good advice, Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us and talk to us about QuenchTime and the Restaurant Relief Fund. I think that's really great stuff that you're doing. And for our listeners that are interested, head on over to their website, check out all the information on restaurants, because I know I have that issue all the time figuring out what I want to eat. So that's a great idea. And if you guys want to learn more about that, head over to QuenchTime.com. And Taylor, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing this information with us.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much, Pedro.
No problem. Thank you. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up another episode of Business Highlight. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social medias. It's at Boca Tribune. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's bocatribune.tv. And if you found this informative and interesting, share it with your friends. That would be awesome. So, but for now, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week.